Check out this riff. Now watch what happens when we add bass, acoustic guitar, strings, bells, slide guitar, distorted guitar, and drums. This is layering, and today I'm going to show you how you can do it to make your recordings shine. The history of layering goes back to before music was even recorded, when orchestras would have entire string sections play the same part, so the part would sound bigger and fuller and more powerful to the audience. This same technique was applied to recordings in the 1960s when Phil Spector developed his famous wall of sound approach to recordings. Spector would often have 4 bass players, 2 drummers, 5 guitar players, and a horn section all playing together in the same room. And sometimes he would hold people at gunpoint until he got the result he wanted. And through this technique, he made some of the most acclaimed and commercially successful albums of the 20th century. That whole holding at gunpoint thing isn't a joke, by the way. Spector was charged and found guilty of murder in 2009, and he died in prison in 2021. But boy, if he didn't know how to make some great sounding records. The wall of sound technique is very warm and nostalgic, but admittedly, by today's production standards, it does sound a bit dated. That being said, the art of adding various layers to make your recording shine is definitely something we can learn from him, and it's what we're going to explore today. Let's get to it. So first things first, you need to have an idea for your song. I like to keep my ideas relatively simple, seeing as the goal of this production technique is to make the most of what's already there. And if it's too complicated, it could get muddy. I like to break my ideas down into the core elements, and in this case there are 3. The main guitar riff, the vocal melody, and the slide melody.
Standing at the crossroads and you don't know how to choose, but you're never gonna grow if you always turn to go back to the start. Take a route and play a part. You know everyone is afraid of change. Why can't things just stay the same?
Everything we record is going to serve those 3 parts, and we're going to start with a backing track. So the first thing I'm going to record today is the drums. The reason I start with the drums is it's easier to play guitar to a drum beat. In the past, when I've recorded guitar to a click track and then tried to add in drums afterwards, the guitar wasn't as on time as I'd want it to be. We've got the stock Logic kit East Bay all ready to go, and we got our click set to 125 beats per minute. During this take, notice how I add hand claps on the primary snare hits. These will go a long way in giving us the big sound that we're looking for. Now we're ready to add in the main riff. And since this riff is clean, we're gonna be using my brand new Fender Stratocaster in Seafoam Green. Isn't she sexy? So a Stratocaster with single coil pickups has one of the most iconic clean sounds that you can get, which is the reason I bought it and the reason we're gonna use it today. A lot of people ask me about my amp software, and I use PodFarm. For this, I'm using the Blackface Lux amp with these settings. Any clean guitar you've heard on this channel uses those settings. Now, let's add in some bass. So the role of the bass is to provide the low-end groove, complement the drum beat, and connect the chords. Whatever you play should serve the song. For this, I'm using the stock Logic amp Modern Stack. I'm going to crank the compression all the way up, put the mix setting so it's just the amp. I'm going to boost the bass a bit and shave off some high end. Since we're going to be layering in a bunch of instruments, I don't want the high end of the bass to conflict with future layers. Next, we're gonna add in the slide guitar melody. For this, I'm actually gonna be using the Stratocaster again because, again, the tone is phenomenal and it blows my $100 slide guitar out of the water. I'm gonna be using the exact same clean tone for this, but I'm gonna turn up the reverb quite a bit. This will help the slide sound bigger and fuller. All right, so we have a really solid backing beat. Some would just add vocals and call it a day, but we're not done. We're gonna add in layers to maximize the parts we have and make it sound as big as possible. And we're gonna start by adding to the slide guitar we just recorded. I wanna add in a couple layers of bells, plucks, and vocals to accentuate that slide melody. And I'm gonna do this by using Logic stock Glockenspiel, however you say it. Seems like the most German word ever. Glockenspiel. We're also gonna add in the 16mm Dream Sequence synth that is also stock in Logic. And to top it all off, we're gonna add in some background vocals. These work well because the Glockenspiel has a very sharp attack, the 16mm Dream Sequence has a very long sustain, and the vocals will just tie it all together. To make this sound big and wide, I'm gonna use some panning. To start off, I'm gonna pan the slide guitar to the left, the 16mm synth a bit to the right. I'll keep the Glockenspiel centered, and I'll record the background vocal part twice. One take will be panned all the way to the left, and the other all the way to the right. Notice how all of these layers really accentuate that slide melody. You see how with a few layers, we've taken that simple slide melody and made it sound huge? That's what it's all about. And next, I want to revisit the main riff and give it another layer of love. For this take, I'm going to be using my Fender Telecaster with the humbucker pickups because distorted tones on this guitar are the bomb. I'm gonna be using a quite abrasive tone for this because I think it'll blend in nicely with the clean tone we recorded earlier. To achieve this tone, all I did was add a classic distortion pedal to the same clean tone we've been using. Lastly, I'm gonna pan the clean take we did earlier all the way to the left, and the distorted take we're about to record, I'm gonna pan far to the right. Let's do it. We're not done yet because there's a few extra layers I want to add to finish this thing off. I'm going to add in some acoustic guitar chords. All I'm going to be playing are the chords, nothing fancy. The tone I'm using is just a preset in Logic Pro, and to make it sound wide, I'm going to put it through a stereo imager. And I'm going to keep it panned dead center. I'm also going to add in some strings from a string pack I bought a few years ago called Nucleus, the Orchestral Core. These are going to be panned dead center, and again, I'm just playing the chords. Last thing I'm adding on this round is the tambourine. This will just tighten up the rhythm and give a nice texture to the higher frequencies. And just like that, we took a simple idea and we've made it sound big and huge with just a few layers. What we've recorded today is the chorus of a song I recently wrote about dealing with unexpected change. Sometimes life will throw you a curveball and you have to react. And the way you choose to react defines your character, and over time, it becomes your destiny. Some changes in life are big, and some are small. Some parts of a recording are at the forefront, while others are far in the background, not even noticed. But just as a recording is enriched by every layer, we too are enriched by the layers of experience and adaptation that shape the symphony we call life. And now, here's a song that uses layering to make a simple idea sound huge.
Standing at the crossroads and you don't know how to choose, but you're never gonna grow if you always turn and go back to the start. Take a ride and play a part. You know everyone is afraid of change. Why can't things just stay the same? How do you sleep sound when deep down everything you love comes crashing down? Why can't we turn back time and pause it just to think? Just gotta rebound and see how it goes on the route you stumbled down. Standing at the crossroads and you don't know how to choose, but you're never gonna grow if you always turn and go back to the start. Take a ride and play a part, remembering the good old days. Why can't things just stay that way? You're off the deep end, so pretend that everything's alright. It's just a test. Do you believe in fate, or do you second guess? Hope it'll be fine. You're going out your mind. The thought of leaving this behind scares you. What's the use getting all worked up from what you can't control? Take a look inside and you'll find your soul. Standing at the crossroads and you don't know how to choose, but you're never gonna grow if you always turn and go back to the start. You weren't ready for this part because no one said it would be this hard. How the hell did we get so far away from where we started
What if I told you you could make an awesome hip-hop song based around a 1-second sample? Would you believe me? Well, I recently gave it a try, and the result was absolutely sick. You can check that out by watching this video here, And until next time, this has been Songs by Spencer, signing out.